Hello friends, this is Ganesh and video number 10 on ABAP. In this session, I'm going to explain about very basic debugging option which is available in ABAP. We have completed very few programs with the data and parameters, creating a design, screens and everything. So we are going to use those programs in the debugging mode, and I will explain what are the functionalities is available in debugging, what are we frequently used, how to control the session through debugging, how to change the data. So very few things based on the programs which we generated already. And going forward, whenever I have complete a concept, I will explain the same concept or data flow, the functionality in the debugging mode. Okay, so that will be easy to understand. So I'm not going to explain everything in one video about debugging. So going forward, there will be no separate debugging session. So whenever there is a functionality over, I will explain the same functionality in the debugging mode. So that will be easy to understand. Okay, so before going to the debugging session, let's have a few idea. So here, this is the one. Let's go one by one. So the debugging, the any language. So what is the debugging? Debugging is just to understand how the program works, how the data flow is carried inside the program, or if there is any issue in the program or the transactions, we need to identify why this issue is occurring. So this is a very basic thing why we need a debugging. Okay. And we have, as per the current version in ABAP, we have two different debuggings are available, old and new debugger. So most of the people go with new debugger because we have a lot of options available, but we have still old debugger is also active. I will show you the old as well. And breakpoint types. So what is a breakpoint? So the very first beginning of debugging is breakpoint, meaning I need to break the flow. So in other words, I can say I can stop the program in a specific place where I can start my debugging. Okay, so the program has 500 lines of code, and in that maybe I'm just guessing in the 100th line or 120th line, I want to start my analysis in the debugging session. So I want to keep a breakpoint in a specific place where I can start my analysis in the debugging session. So for that, we need a breakpoint. So to stop the program in the middle of the execution, we need a breakpoint. So breakpoint, we have a static breakpoint, or we can have a breakpoint based on the user. So only for the particular user, if you execute the program, then only it stops. Someone else executing, it won't stop. That is little advantage. So static means whoever executing the program, it will stop it, but we strictly saying don't use static debugging in any of your development. So that is not safe. So example, once you have a static breakpoint and by default, if it move to quality or production, so whoever executing the program, it comes and stops in that place. That is not at all good. And we have a session and external breakpoint in one line. Session is nothing but I'm going to execute the program. The current session is not going to call from any other object. I have a program, I'm going to execute directly. So we can go with the session breakpoint. Means in that time, the breakpoint or it goes to the debugging mode and stops in the particular line. External breakpoint, I have a program. That program is going to call from some other program. So externally, my object or my program is going to call. In that scenario also, I want to stop my program execution in middle of some specific lines. Then we have to go with the external breakpoint. Okay, and apart from that, we have a breakpoint called /h. Like we can begin our analysis or debugging starting of the execution itself. Means I'm not sure which program or which line exactly the problem occurs, but I want to start from first. Then we can go with /h. Okay, so these are different options or breakpoint we can do. And /h is to begin the debugging session. There is no breakpoint. I'm going to start exactly from the execution itself. Then we go with /h. So there is no breakpoint. That is going to start your debugging. Another one is new. It opens a new window or new session. So why I'm saying this is we have some limitations. Probably you might have aware of it. So we have only 6 maximum windows or sessions we can open in SAP. We have a option to increase or decrease as well. But new debugger is always opens a new session, just for your information. And the entire debugger session is controlled by 4 function keys: F5, F6, F7, F8. So you'd be very good in these options. So what is F5, F6, and F7 and F8? So in one line introduction about F5 as a single step. So if you press F5 function key, press F5, it goes step by step. It executes step by step. Okay, technically. F6 is it execute the block without entering into the block. Okay, so for the time being, you just imagine there is a program or there is a place where we can write set of codes. We got as function module or function subroutine. Okay, I will explain little more detail once we complete the function module concept. But here F6 is it's instead of going inside the block. For example, I have 5 lines of code. In the 4th line, I am calling a block. It contains another 10 lines of code. I'm sure I don't want to get into the block and execute it. The problem or what I'm expecting is not inside the block. So I don't want to get into the block, but the block should be executed. So if I press F5, control take me inside the block. So in that I'm going to press F6. So it won't get into the block, but it execute the block. Okay. And F7, okay, I enter into the block and I have 20 lines of code. So the 5th line, I just come to know, okay, my issue was identified in this particular line. So I don't want to execute rest of the 15 lines. So I want to come out of the block, including it executes the remaining 15 lines. I don't want to go with one line by line. So I can say F7. So if you want to come out of the block, go with F7. And if you don't want to execute the block, sorry, you don't want to get into the block, execute the block, go with F6. Okay. So both will execute. F6 and F7 also execute the remaining lines, but work little differently. So that is for F7. F8 is full execution. In middle of the program, yes, I'm fine. I'm good with the debugging mode. I want to execute fully. I want to come out of it. So you can press F8. Okay. So F8 is full execution until it does not identify any other further breakpoints. If there is any breakpoint, whatever you press, it go and stops it. That is called breakpoint. It just break the flow. Okay. And various tabs in debugging session. Yes, we have a lot of tabs available, very user friendly, I can say. Desktop 1, desktop 2, desktop 3, we have a call stack, we have structures, we have breakpoint tab, watchpoint tab. Okay, so a lot of options are available. I'll show you everything one by one. Clear? So I hope this is a very basic understanding of what is debugging and what is a breakpoint, how you're going to use the debugging session. Let me take you into the system. So this is my system, AC38. I have a very basic program which I already created. It's very easy for you to understand because this is nothing but I just simply copied from the previous program what I created. I have a screen with the 2 input box and 2 option buttons and 2 check boxes and 1 select options. Okay, and 1 data variable is declared, and here 19th line I have a process like adding 2 numbers, and I have some if conditions as well. So if this is greater than 0, some questions, and finally there is a right statement. Some conditions and finally the right statement. Okay. So now step 1, breakpoint. So if I execute without breakpoint, I'm executing the program. It comes here 12, 14, execute. Yes, is executed successfully. But I want to break the flow. For that we need a breakpoint. I'm going to start the static breakpoint, which you should not do it. So, and another one is breakpoints are not applicable for any declarative statements. Obviously, so why you want to stop the program, the declarative statement, right? So all the breakpoints are applicable only after the declarative statement. Or the declarative statement, you are not able to keep session or external breakpoint. But static breakpoint, you can keep wherever you want. I'm talking about session and external breakpoint. So now I'm going to give a static breakpoint over here. Breakpoints. So please don't use this. Afterward, so what happens if I execute? It executes the screen first because screen is a declaration, right? So it executes the screen, and from that screen, if I press F8, it comes and stops line number 19. F8, 12, 45, execute again. It shows debugging starts. and it comes and stops here 19th. Okay, so it creates a new session. So this is my program, but still it shows it's connected. This is one session, but it's showing it's connected with the debugger. It opens a new window, and this is my debugger. Okay, so this is the debugging session, and it stops line number 19. The yellow mark indicates it stopped line number 19. Okay, and the okay, let me show you a few basic stuffs. In the debugging session, you have different tabs: desktop 1, desktop 2, desktop 3. These are different, I can say, screen designs. Nothing big on desktop 1 and 2, 3. It's some people wants to have their window over like this. So I want a program over here, and the place where our variable informations, what is the value of a variable, what are the records available in internal table, so those things are going to be displayed in the variable display. So somebody wants display like this, and someone wants like I want left and right, maybe desktop 3, I want right and left. So it depends on that. Okay, so right and left, here you have an option to change like this. Okay, basically in desktop 3 we have a standard. Standard is nothing but we call it as call stack. Okay, so how the program runs, because if in a standard program that call stack is works very effectively, it's used very effectively, because we need to understand how many programs we crossed. Okay, there is some error in any standard transaction, we may keep a breakpoint over there, but we need to understand where the program starts, where the execution starts, what are the program it started, whether the variable, the one specific variable we identified, whether it carries in all the programs or not. So many understandings and analysis are done in call stack. Okay, so that is very important in ABAP debugging. Maybe not in the basic level. Once we complete most of the stuffs in ABAP, the call stack is very important. Okay. So normally desktop 3 has a variable display and call stack. So the call stack is closed. I have to open it. So here you have an option called new tool. Let me open a call stack. What do you want to open it? You want a tools, you want a data objects, whatever you want to open it. So I want to open a call stack. Source code is already there. This is variable fast display is also already there. I want a call stack. So like this. So this is a call stack. It's very simple program. So it says it started in 1000, it entered into PAI module, and finally it came and stopped in the startup selection. These are events, just keep in your mind. We'll come to above reports, we'll see about startup selection. Okay, so time being, we don't want this call stack. So let me close this. So whenever you want any other tool, you can use new tool options. Okay, and if you want to change this, you can use the switch or swap. So I want like this. And suppose you feel I want this to be in the down, so you can use this option. So maximize horizontally, then it goes like this, and maximize vertically, it will go like this. And full screen, mostly we won't use full screen. So it's a full screen for option for this. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you what is the result or what is the value of each variable. So that is displays here. Value of variable 1, 2, 3, whatever you want. Okay. For example, I want to know what is the value of GV num1. Just double click. Or you can type it over here also. GV num2. Okay. Suppose if the variable is not available, it shows like this. Actually a spelling mistake over here. It's an invalid variable. So the variable whatever you declare, only that variable you are able to keep it here. Okay. Suppose if you want to say what are the whole variables available in the particular program, go to the globals. So globals tab, you can see what are the variables available. Only you can see, you can't change anything. So further you have to go with variables 1 and 2. This is just for a reference. Normally, if you're debugging any existing program developed by someone else, so you should know what are the variables available. So go to globals tab and list out what are the variables available over there. And go to variables 1. Okay, these are the things available, and let me just go with R1. These are very small names, that's why I'm typing it, otherwise just double click it. Okay, so R1 is by default selected. You know what is the value of option button, it's X. Okay, so now excuse me, still my break thing is in 19th, cursor is in 19, and here you have the option F5, single step, F6, and it's going to execute, and F7 and just return, and F8 is a full execution. You're able to identify a small things in the arrow mark, single step, step by step. So it's just execute, means skip the entire block, but it execute the entire block and come to the next line. And this is return, come out of the block. If you press F7, if you're inside a block, it just come out of the block. Just keep these lines. I will execute whenever you have come to any block concept. Continue full execution. Okay. So now I'm going to press F5. Maybe you can press through mouse or press F5 from your keyboard. So what is the result now? So result value is 0. By default, it's 0. Here it shows the technical aspects of your variable as well. So what is the technical aspects of your variable? I4, C1, 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 and I4. Okay. And if you double click, it will show you the only specific one. Just double click GV number. It'll show you what is the data type and what is the type associated with the space and everything. What is the value? What is the hexadecimal value for your variable? So everything is detailed one over here. Now I'm going to press F5. It reaches line number 20. It's not executed. Once it move out of 20 to 21, next executable, not 21, next executable line, then this statement is executed. So I'm going to press F5 now. You can see here GV result. Now it's 57. Addition of two numbers. Now it's 57, and now they're going to check this one whether GV number is greater than 100. No. So then it go to the else part. So 27 it comes, and then executes. Right statement comes out of it. So once the full execution is done, it automatically comes out of your debugging session. Okay. So this is very basic. Sometimes it's keep on going because of your previous settings. It maybe go to the standard programs as well. So no issues. Just F8, just come out of it, and press F8 again. Now it's 1198. Execute. So here, this is very important to identify what is the program name and what is the maybe include program name and what is the event. Or you can have what is the function module you are, what is the subroutine you are. So very basic. This is main area for the technical people in the debugging level where we are. So we need to identify exactly which place. Okay, so this will help for that one. Clear? And tabs like standard structures, you have tables, we have these things we are going to see probably once we cross internal table concept. And you have breakpoint and watch point. You can have a number of breakpoints and what are the number of watch points. You can just play around with that. You can delete some breakpoints and you can delete or add some watch points. Everything you're able to do it over here. Okay. Okay, now I comfortable with desktop 3. Okay, so now what I can do is another one is variables stack. Okay, next thing is whenever you are able to see the pencil against your variable or work area or internal table, whatever it is. Okay, let me have this as well. This is my MTR. Then you are able to change the value of those variable in the debugging mode. Okay, so user entered as 11, but for my scenario, for example, I am saying whenever the user enters more than 11, I'm getting an issue. So what I can do is after the value in a debugging level, I'm going to change it to satisfy my business scenarios, because many scenarios they are not able to replicate in the transaction level, but we are able to replicate in the debug level. Okay, so just execute, sorry, just click and it will allow you to edit. So instead of 11, I'm going to enter 15 and enter. Then only the change will reflect. Okay, so wherever you are able to see the pencil, yes. So I'm going to make C1 is equal to capital X and C2 is also capital X. Okay, and here there is no pencil mark because this is structure, this is the internal table. It's nothing but work area. You can able to correlate with that work area. So work area is nothing but it's a collection of fields. So if you get into the work area internal table, then you will be able to find the pencil. Just double click. So here it has 4 fields, and here you will be able to find the pencil mark. You're able to modify here, and if empty ART And here you're not able to see a pencil, just double click the row. Okay, this is the internal table. So here you can add a data using the tools, and you can say append row, insert row, delete the informations, whatever you don't want. So this will play around more with once we come to the internal table concept. Okay, so the idea is you have a tools as well to manipulate your data in the debugging mode. Okay, so now user enters 11, but I modified it to 15, and these two also checked. I'm good. I'm fine with that. I'm going to execute fully. So you don't notice F5, F5, F5. Just press F8. So the data is also changed based on the values, and it just come out of this particular screen. Okay, and another one is break. Static breakpoint. Another one is user breakpoint. So break user ID. This is somewhat safer, but still is not a good practice to have a program with break and username even in quality or production. For your if a testing purpose is good. Once you are done, please remove anything with break and username. Okay, very rare scenario. Some people they may keep this in the quality and production because of some scenarios not able to replicate. Only for this particular user they have to stop. Okay, so for that one, very rare scenario, but still don't keep the break username. So this what happens, it executes, it stops only the particular user best executes this program. So here anyway my user ID is best only, so it'll stop. F8, F8, it stops here, break best. Okay, execute, go back, go back. And we'll see about session and breakpoint. Okay, session and external breakpoint. So let me take out this breakpoint. Okay, so now I feel okay, I want to stop the program line number 19 or 20, maybe in the if condition. I can say in 23. So I'm going to keep a session breakpoint. So session breakpoint is nothing but this program is going to execute directly from this particular session. So I'm going to press F8 technically. Okay, so I'm going to keep a breakpoint line number 23. So for this session and external, it won't keep the breakpoint over the declarative statement. Suppose I want to stop here. You know, it will try to keep the breakpoint in the very first or very close executable statement. I'm keeping the cursor and press this button, it goes and stopped in line number 6 because this is a declarative statement. So let me take it out. So simple way to keep a breakpoint is have the cursor which executable statement you want to stop the program and click this button. And if you want to remove, just click it. It will remove over there. Okay. So another way is you can just click in the left hand side of the line wherever you want. So I want to breakpoint 19. I want to breakpoint 24. I want to breakpoint 26. You can have it. Okay, so just remove, just click over there, you can remove it. And another one is external breakpoint is not applicable for this time, but let's see. I'll just explain the external breakpoint. We'll see this once you start working with different objects. Okay, I'm going to keep my external breakpoint. Here it shows external breakpoint, little different. Okay, I can show you. So my external breakpoint was detected. Okay, that's fine. Okay, this is a different one, and if you keep the session breakpoint, this is a little different. So if you have this session external breakpoint, whenever this program is calling from another object, it will come and stops here. Okay, but if you have only session, it won't do that whenever the program is called from outside of your session. The same way you can keep and delete the breakpoint. Keep the cursor, just click yes, enable, just click disabled. That's it. Okay. So now my breakpoint is 23. Execute. Some numbers executes. It comes and stops. Line number 23. It stops here. Okay. Over there, you are able to see the yellow mark. Just click. It just out. Okay. In a debugging session also, you are able to play with your breakpoints, delete, create a number of breakpoints. It's well and good. Suppose okay, I'm clear with this line number 23. Again, I want to start my debugging 19th line. So keep a breakpoint here, save it, Control S, save it, and just execute it. So next time if you execute, it will come and stops in the 19th line, wherever you kept a breakpoint inside your debugging session. Okay. And yeah, I'll show you the select options also inside. Once execute, and I'm going to say I need FERT and multiple selection button. So you know about these things, KERT, how to enter the value for select option. Send execute. Excuse me. I want to show you how it reflects in the debugging mode. So this is, I can say, work area, and this is the internal table, body of internal table. So it holds only one record, but it holds more than one record. Just double click, it show here. So sign equal FERT. Now if you want to change the data, double click the row. It will take only one row at a time, so you're able to change it. So now I want to change this one. So RAW. Changing a value instead of debugging is just to analyze based on your business scenario. Okay, so it's not normally we won't suggest to change the data if some program is going to update your database table. And another thing, there is an authorization. So just like that, you can't change anything in the production system. So development, you can do it. Even the development also, sometimes we need to change the value, update the database table to identify it or to find the exact issue. So that you can play around whatever you want in dev. But quality and production, normally we have a restriction to do these things. We don't have authorization to do change any data in the production. But still keep in your mind, whenever you want to get sometimes we'll get a permission to change the value in the debugging mode in production system as well, but make sure the particular transaction is not updating anything in the backend database table. If yes, very clearly, if you want to change and don't execute fully, you can come out of it. We'll see it quite little bit, but this keep in your mind. Production system, try to avoid changing the value. Otherwise, if you get a chance, and make sure this is not affecting any data in your database table. So this changes happens only in the transaction. So once you come out of the transaction, it just vanish. Okay, so breakpoints, what is this, tools, variables, call stack. Yeah, that's it. And this is very basic. Okay, so every concept I will run through the program, the debugging mode. And another one, I'm not sure where I have to stop my program. Okay, so I don't know which line it stop. Let me start from the beginning. I want to start the my analysis, debugging analysis in the very first line. So what I can do is I can say /h to initiate the debugging session. It doesn't require any breakpoint in your program. Okay, so let me take out the breakpoint as well. If yes, take out the breakpoint and execute 12:45 /h. Excuse me. Okay, just press enter. In the down task or toolbar, you're able to see debugging switched on. So debug started. So without a breakpoint, if you want to start anything, you can go with /h. I can say it's very rare, like maybe 30 to 40% we use to it, because it's best part is you need to understand the program and keep the breakpoint and do it. And sometimes it's not possible, so go with /h. Okay, so it depends on the need. And press F8, it'll go to the debugging session. Nothing. Start from the first executable line. So first line report program name is the executable line. It starts from there only. Okay. Change values. Okay, old debugger. I'll show you how the old debugger looks like. Go here more. Edit. Sorry. Go to navigate to switch classic debugger. Okay, in the previous version it's very simple. In the first menu itself there is an option go to classic debugger and switch to ABAP debugger. This is a little different in way. Just click switch to classic debugger. This is a classic debugger. It's okay. Once you start working on a new one, old is very tough, because you have some restriction to see only 4 fields, 4 variables only you are able to see. Okay, same thing. Let's just double click and double click over here, changing the value. So everything is possible here also. So you have to maybe a different way, 14, and click this button, it accept your change. Okay, and it goes F5 here, also same thing, F5, F6, F7, F8. But this is okay because you should know sometimes by default it comes to the older debugger, so you should know how to change this one. Okay, so this is a classic ABAP debugger, so I want to change this to switch to standard ABAP debugger. This is a new one. Okay, so hope this might be useful and the beginning of your program analyzing. So whenever whatever program you have developed so far your practice, just play around with the debugging mode. Okay, so if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much for your time. Bye bye.